Hi everyone, welcome back to Nuskrit, and in this video we are going to build a Spring Boot application from scratch, and we will be using basically we will be taking an example of the post creation like you do normally in day-to-day life. So like for example, you go to Instagram, you create a post, right? So in the same manner we will be building a simple application which will actually perform CRUD operation on a post. So say for example, a user will be able to create a post and a user will be able to get all posts that he has created so far. The user will also be able to get any post by ID, and then he will be able to update the post, he will be able to delete a post, right? So I think these are the operations that we actually perform in day-to-day life, right? Great. So let me just walk you through an example like what we are trying to do, what we will be building. And so if you are a beginner and you are watching this video, so there will be lots of things that you might feel like this, what this is happening, right? But let me tell you guys, like if you are trying to build this kind of application for the first time, then there will be lots of things that that you will feel like jargons. But let me tell you, if you will build this kind of application 3-4 times, everything will be in place. Like you will be able to understand why are we writing like this, why this code is being written over here, why are we creating the structure of the code like this. So just try to build this application in your system first, and then after that try to build 3-4 application like this, and everything will fall in place, right? Great. So I think we should start building this application. So what I'll do is I'll first walk you through like what are the things that we are going to create, and then we will start directly building this project in our system in IntelliJ. So let me explain a few things. So the database that I will be using is PostgreSQL, right? The code editor that I'll be using is IntelliJ, right? And yeah, that's it. That's what we have to use. Okay, great. Okay, so let me just explain like what we are trying to do. So if you don't really know about these APIs, so what is API? So let me just explain. So API is nothing like an endpoint. So say for example, if you go to InnoScript and you like let's say you are writing in the URL innoscript.in/about. So /about is one API, right? /contact is one API. /courses is one API, right? So say for example, in the same manner, in this application, what we are going to do is we will be performing 5 operations, right? We are going to perform 5 operations. So the first operation will be to create a post, right? So to create a post, we will be hitting, let's say some URL, some base URL /posts. So if I hit any post request, so these are the kind of the request, right? So say for example, when you actually save something in your database, so it is known as post request. When you actually get something out of the database, it is known as get request. When you try to update something in the database, it is known as update request, right? And when you try to delete something from the database, it is known as delete request, right? So basically we will be having multiple APIs to create an API. Like to create a post, we will be having a post method, the request method will be post, and the URL will be /posts. So you will see in the example, like when we will be building the application, you will be able to understand this. So the next step will be get all posts. So when a user actually try to get all the posts that he has created so far, he will be using get as a method, and URL will be /posts only, right? The same URL will be using. Okay, great. Now the another API that a user might need is get post by ID, right? So if you are actually, so say for example, let's say you have created so many posts. So when you actually click on any post, so you just get that specific post, right? So that means I need to create an API where I will give the system one ID, and that system is going to give me post related to that ID, right? So this API will be work for me. And the next API that I'll be creating is update post. So to update any post. So one thing that you can notice here is just to get any post by ID or to update any post, you may require some ID, right? Because without any ID, how would I identify like which particular post user is asking for? Similarly, if I want to create, if I want to update any post, right? So if I want to update any post, I need to know like which post user want to update, right? So that again, you can see in the URL, I will be requiring some ID. In the same fashion, if I talk about the delete post request, so to delete a post, again, user needs to basically tell the system like this is the post that I'm going to delete, right? So say for example, if you open up your Instagram, right, and you will see all the posts right there, right, and if you click any post, if you click on one post, then only you will get the option to delete that post. So unless you are not going to select any post, you won't be able to delete any post, right? So to delete a post, you need to select first. And when you are actually selecting, when you are actually making a selection, so ultimately you are telling the system that this is the ID that I'm going to delete, right? So this is how these 5 operations we are going to perform in this particular video, right? And let me just walk you through all the 5 basically all the 5 kind of posts that we will be building, like all the 5 operations that we will be building, like what we are going to our system, what we are going to give our system, what system will give me in a response. So let me just make you a walkthrough for that. So say for example, let's talk about create posts. So say for example, whenever a user is going to create any post, right, so what things user is going to give the system, right? So say for example, method is going to be the post, URL will be /post. So say for example, user will request something on this particular URL /posts, right? And to this URL, the user is going to give this request body, because user has to save these things into the database, right? So what user will do is user will give title of the post, description of the post, and let's say some media attached to it, right? So say for example, let's say you are going to a trip and you have actually visited, let's say, Paris, and let's say you have taken so many photos, so many videos out there, right? So now you have come back from the trip, you want to post something about it. So what bare minimum things you will require, right? So you will require the title of the post, maybe. Say for example, like whatever first line you will write, I will consider as a title. It's not really mandatory that title is mandatory, so you can ignore it. If you want to just keep the description in your system, you can do that. Not a big deal. Like I will be taking title as an example, but if you don't want to take this, you can completely ignore this, right? So whenever you create a post, let's say now you are creating a post, so you will give some title. Let's say trip to Paris, right? Trip to Paris you have given as an example, and the description, let's say we enjoyed there, we met a lot of people there, right? We visited this, we visited that, right? So you can write a lot of description out there. And finally there is a point like you can attach multiple medias as well. So so why I have kept like this? So basically definitely, let's say when you post anything, you don't really get the option to paste some link of the media, right? You don't really get that, right? So how this is working is, let me just explain. So let's take an example, like what happens, right? So like let's say for example, you are posting something on LinkedIn, so you don't really get the option to attach some media over there, right? You don't get that. What basically you get is, you get some icon, you click on that, it opens your gallery, and then from gallery you select some photos. So how it happens actually, but like why we are taking media as a link over there, right? Let's try to understand that. So what happens is, let's say for example, this is your computer, this is your laptop, or this can be your mobile phone as well. And when you actually trying to create a post, so use something like get this kind of text area, right? So let's say this is your text area where you can actually write something, right? So this is your text area where you will be writing something, right? Okay, great. Now you will see like there will be some options right there, right? To attach some photos, to attach some video like this. And then finally there will be a button to post, right? So let's say this is a button to post. Great. So now when you actually, so you have written something over here, this will be considered as your description, right? There may be some title also in the first line, so this will be considered as a title. Okay. So now let's talk about this. So when you actually click on a camera, let's say, so this will open some gallery for you, right? Where you will be having lots of photos out there, right? So what happens is, when you actually click on any photo, this photo comes actually there. Let's say this photo will come over here. Let's say you are selecting another photo, so this photo will come over here. So when you actually select any photo, so what happens is, this photo is saved somewhere, right? This photo is saved somewhere. Why I am saying like this? Because you can check it somewhere. Let's say, for example, if you have chosen any photo from your gallery, and now if you are deleting this photo from your gallery, this photo will still be there, right? That's how the system works, right? So if you have selected some photo from there, and you basically you have selected some photo, and now you are deleting this photo. You haven't posted your post yet, right? This is still in editing phase, but now you are deleting some that particular photo from your gallery, but this photo is still has to be there. This will not be vanished. It will be there. So because it has saved somewhere, right? So the system is taking care of this. So system is saving it somewhere, and wherever it is getting saved, the system is fetching the URL from there, right? The system will be fetching the URL from there. Okay, so it is already saved. The system will fetch the URL and it will attach this URL to your request body, that request body that is being formed, right? Because finally that request has to go somewhere, है ना, जिसको ये पता लगेगा कि okay, this is the request body, this is the post that has been created by some user, and I have to save this post into the database, right? So that's how this will work, right? I hope I was able to make you understand, right? Now let's talk about the next API. Sorry, let's first finish this only. So request body will be formed like this, and you can attach multiple media files as well, right? So when you will attach multiple media files, so each of the media file will be stored somewhere, and it will have some unique URL, right? So whatever URL will be there, it will be attached in this media as a list. So I will show you some other example also, like when we will be creating this as in our system using Spring Boot, then I will show you like you can have multiple multiple URLs attached to this media list. And when you actually hit this particular body to this URL using a post request, so you will get a response like this. So the system will say like, okay, status is 200. 200 means the post is successful, the post creation is successful, right? So you will get status as 200. Messages post is created successfully. So that is not auto generated. This is what we will be writing, right? So the post is created successfully, and whatever post was created, the system will give some ID to it. A unique ID will be given to it, and rest of the things will be same: title, description, and media. So like this is a best practice. Like this is what we follow in the industry as well. So whenever you create something, so user should know, okay, something has been created successfully, right? So as a user, like as a backend engineer, I will give some message, some response to the user, right? Okay, your post has been created, है ना? And this was the post that has been created, right? Great. Let's talk about the get request, get all post. So when I'm trying to get all my posts, so I don't need to give any request body to the system, right? I don't really need to give any request body to the system, right? What I'll do is I will simply ask my system to give all my posts, and the system is going to return me all the posts. So how the message will be written? So the HTTP status will be 200. Message will be all posts are fetched successfully. If the system won't, if let's say if the system will fail to fetch all the posts successfully, then it will give some message, all the posts, like error, post couldn't be find, whatever, like it will give some error, right? And whatever posts will be there in the system, it will give me all the posts separate, like separate post. You can see it is giving me as a list. Payload is being returned as a list, right? In the previous example, payload was an object. It was in a curly braces. So whenever something is in curly braces, it's a object. It's one object. You can see here in the get request, it is list. It is list of object. So this is one object. This is one object. Payload is one object, right? Great. Now let's talk about get post by ID. Now this is very interesting. So whenever you are trying to get any particular post, है ना? Whenever you are trying to get any post using some ID, so you need to tell the system, okay, which particular post you are going to get, you are trying to get. So I will give this post / some ID, and the system is going to give me this particular response body, right? So the system will say, okay, post is fetched successfully, and this is the post. Because this time I'm fetching only one post, so system is going to give me one post, right? Great. Now let's talk about update post as well. So in the update post is also same. Like whenever you are basically trying to update any particular post, so you need to tell the system, this is the post that I am trying to update. And what you are trying to update is, you will also give that. So let's say, for example, earlier the title was post updated, sorry, second post. The description was second post description, and there was some URL, right? There was some image was tagged. So when you will be updating this, so you may change the title of the title of the post. So I have written like second post updated. So this is the same post because the ID I'm giving. So the two ID post which was created, which has been already created by the user initially, that is the same post that I'm gonna update, right? So that the same post that you have already created will be updated. But you need to make sure that you are giving system some ID which is already available in the database, right? You are giving a post ID which is already created. You cannot give some ID which is like to which no post actually exists, right? So you cannot give that ID. So what you will do is, you will give only ID which is already available in the database, for which some post is already available. So now this description will be passed, and this will give me this particular response. Okay, post is updated successfully, and second post updated, second post description updated, and some URL. You could have changed the URL also, right? So let's say, for example, if previously you attached two images to the system, right, and you want to delete one of them, so you can do that, right? You can just click on that cross button. So that URL, whatever specific URL to that post was attached to this media list, it will be removed from the list, and there will be only one URL in the media list now, and hence it will work accordingly, right? Now let's talk about delete post as well. So in the delete post, you will again hit the URL posts/posts/2, the some ID, and then it will delete the specified post ID which is having ID number as 2. So you don't really need to pass any request body in this case. So you need to understand, like when we pass request body only when we are trying to create something, right? Because in the post request we are trying to create something. In the update request also we are trying to create something, right? But in the get request we are not trying to create something. So we don't really need to give the request body, but we will get some response always. So the response is fixed. Some status will be code there, some status code will be there, some message will be there, because message is very important, right? If you have performed some CRUD operation, if you have created a post, and if you are not giving the message to the user. So let's, for example, when you create a post on LinkedIn, right? So the system gives you message, the post successfully created like this, right? You just check sometime, right? So it will always give some system. So we need to give system from the backend itself, right? So if backend was able to save something in the database, so it should tell the user, okay, this is saved, right? So this is the application that we will be building in this video series, and this was the first video. So I hope you are clear like what we are trying to build, what we are gonna build. And in the next video, basically we will start building our application using IntelliJ IDEA, the code editor, and we will be using database PostgreSQL. So till then, what you can do is you can try to install Postgres in your system, and if you don't have IntelliJ IDEA, you can use some other editor also, like maybe VS Code, or maybe you can use Eclipse also. You can use maybe Spring Tool Suite as well. So whatever you want to use, you can use that. But I'll be using IntelliJ, and I'll be using database as PostgreSQL, right? So you can install these two softwares in your system, and yes, we will start building the application from the next video. Thank you. Till then, bye bye.